Good morning again. My name is Linus Kaikai. I work for the Citizen TV as Group Editorial Director, and I'll be your moderator for the next session. We should be back in a short while. This event will be live on television as well, so we'll be engaging both yourselves and the audience out there. And the format is we'll discuss with the team here of panelists, and then we may come to you for comments and questions. So please keep your, follow the conversation so that you're able to contribute. Thank you so much. Good morning for those following this conversation live here on Citizen TV. My name is Linus Kaikai. You're joining us live from the Catholic University of East Africa, where the 21st Assembly of the Amecea Conference is taking place, with particular attention to the youth question. The young people are not just leaders of tomorrow. They are innovators. They are entrepreneurs. They are creators, and they are indeed shaping the future of the world today. Yet they face very significant challenges, including unemployment, mental health pressures, unequal access to quality education, rapid technological change, and demands of an increasingly global society. So, how is the youth of the day prepared to face these challenges? The Amecea Conference of Bishops is here in Nairobi focusing on that question. And to help us with that conversation this morning, we have a panel of 7 participants who will take us through a discussion on the youth question. In my panel, we have the Right Reverend Father Alfred Chaima, who is the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Zomba. We also have the Reverend Father Henry Mathagu from Kenya. Madam Evelyn Malisa from Tanzania is a parents' representative. And we have 3 youth representatives here today. There is Tony Blair. Yes, Tony Blair, not the former Prime Minister of the UK. And we have Joseph Oburu. It's right there. And we also have Georgette George, who is also representing the youth. Welcome all. And I want to start with the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Zomba. Earlier today, the youth from the region presented the summary of their deliberations to this plenary. And they spoke of a number of issues. But I want to leave it to you because there were so many issues that they raised. Which one of them, Your Excellency, stood as the most key of the issues this youth raised this morning?
Thank you so much for that question. Indeed, our youth have raised issues on behalf of their friends in the region. For me, what I find to be key, the issue they raised here, is the issue that they are crying for adequate accompaniment in the church at various levels, wherever they are found. If you see whatever they were highlighting, both from the church and from society, is that they see that their youth that are left on their own. No one, or perhaps not no one, but they see that they're not receiving adequate attention, and the church is not listening to them adequately. So for me, the basic request or cry they are making here is, can the church accompany them more? Maybe I stop here for the moment.
Thank you. Your take, Father Henry? What was the biggest issue in that discussion, the youth, and the submissions they made this morning?
Thank you very much. I think I was very much taken up by the whole issue of economic distress, mental health issues that come from very systemic issues in the society, and the young people sounding so helpless and feeling that many times they are taken advantage of by the systems, by the societies. That calls for a deeper reflection and intervention. Thank you.
Yeah. Madame Georgette? You have your microphone? Yes. I want to go around the panel. We all listened to the youth that spoke today. Yeah, okay. Tony Blair. Tony Blair, first.
Thank you so much. The question you ask is a very touching question, but I think you're also starting to defy one of the things that the youth are facing. The youth really like identity so much. You introduced us, but without expressing where we are really coming from. So that is one of the issues. So the introduction, others were introduced with where they're coming from very well, but for the youth, that is now where you're leaving the youth behind. In synodality, we are journeying together. My name is Tony Blair Oluormondo, as you have said, from the land of the martyrs, that is Uganda, and particularly Gulu Ecclesiastical Province, Nebi Catholic Diocese. The youth raised a number of issues as we presented. And one thing I would like to appreciate the church, they've really given the youth platforms where they can express their leadership skills, where they can journey together. If you see, when the youth were here, we had only one chaplain standing amidst us. That is synodality. And we had one animator standing with us. So that one showed clearly the gap. That yes, there is a gap in the journey. And that is the major issue. If you are saying today the theme of this plenary is saying bridging the gap of communion, hope, good governance, and justice, then as young people, from our presentation, we really are left out because there is a lot that needs to be done. Political instabilities was one of the key issues. Young people are being killed during political struggles. Politicians use the young people. We are here to cry to the church that we, the youth, are not as bad as the society may think. One thing we should remember is that everyone comes from the community. If you say someone is bad, then the whole community is bad. And we have to work on the community. Where does it start from? The voice of the young people is heard from the church because we come from God. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we'll be tackling the issue of identity in good length later in this conversation. But if we can go now to Madam Evelyn Malisa, who is a parent representative, and even listening to Tony Blair, who was part of the team that presented here. What stands out today for you as a major youth question?
Thank you. My appeal as a mother is very simple. They spoke of crisis identity as one of the major issues. And I think for me, this is a foundation coming from the very initial stage of us parents on how we journey with our kids. In today, we are all, should I say, a mother, a father, busy, involved more in economic-related activities, which are also necessary. But our first calling as parents, and especially mothers, we are nurturers. We are the one who spend most of the time at the childhood with our children. How much are we involved through their journey to nurture them? I usually take an example of Mother Mary, who was there all the time, walked the journey with Jesus from when he was a child to the cross and to the grave. So if I would appeal to my fellow parents, mothers, that we need to go back to the roots. They spoke of spending a lot of time on things that doesn't really matter a lot of time on the screen, a lot of time on social media, a lot of time thinking of who they are, what they should do, and how they journey through. We don't have a curriculum that help our young people to navigate on how to responsibly use the tech, and of course now the AI. So my appeal is go back to the roots. Thank you.
And as you go back to the roots, maybe I'll still stay on you, Evelyn. If you go back to the roots, the question of the age of the youth. We define youth as someone between the age of 18 and 35. Is there a cutoff point for that journey you are talking about? Can a parent say, my daughter, my son is 21 years old, they can make their own decisions?
A lot have changed, as I said. The children we are raising today are not the same as who were raised when I was young. And we need to consider the today environment as we are raising our children. Our young children mature at a very young age. And of course, we need to get to a point where we help them to help themselves. When I was very young, I was allowed to test things. I was allowed to do things by myself. But more or less at the moment, and most of the time our kids are either sent to boarding school when they're very young, or the parent does everything, or we have house helpers that does everything. I think when I was at the age of 6, I was able to prepare my meal. But today, at the age of 15, a child can't wash her or his clothes. So defining the age, it's something, of course, we need to work on. And there should be a definition, of course, tasks that should be assigned at different age levels. Let the children at some point help themselves so that they can also work on how to solve their own challenges, that rather than me as a mother defining a solution at every stage. So step by step, allow them to test things, to do their own things, and slowly they'll be able to take charge of their life. I don't think it's fair for me, and today we are seeing parents taking their child to university, accompanying them to the university, but we need to also help them to be able to navigate along the challenges by letting them to do things by themselves. Thank you.
All right, and I would like to hear the youth perspective on your contribution. Let's go to Joseph Oburu.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Linus, for that. My name's Joseph Oburu from Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, Catholic Diocese of Ngong. I would like to maybe start off where Madam Evelyn left. The first part is what she mentioned on crisis identity. And I think it's a conversation that seems to reoccur. Tony Blair also mentioned it. And crisis identity speaks to on a bigger volume, in a loud volume, to where we began on the issue of accompaniment. If you reflect on it a little bit deeper, you will realize that when we speak of crisis identity, young people experience, from a psychological standpoint of view, you have to. When you grow up, you learn from your realities, the experiences that you have. And I thank you, Madam Evelyn, for mentioning the point where young people, and this came out clearly in the report for the young people, that back at home, the parents are not available. In most places, when you go to the school or the institutional setup, because young people spend most of their young lives in the institutional educational institutes, again, we interact at a professional level. So the issue of accompaniment will be optional. It is based on the preference of whether your lecturer is a good friend, whether your high school teacher is a good friend, but it is not a mandatory experience. It's a preferential option. One can choose to do that or not. Then now, the part that hits the most is when we come to the church. So after all this, remember here we have not even started talking about the government. The government has its own issues. But now when we come to the church, that is the last hope. That is the last place the young people are looking to. And that's why in the report it came out very clearly. The young people felt sad that at some point where they hoped, where they hoped the answer could come from, now the issue of accompaniment also follows back into the church. So when we go to the church, in our parishes, you realize that the parish priest is too busy. When you go to the bishops, our bishops are also, I understand, they are also very, very busy. So it now gets to a point that it becomes a struggle. It becomes a struggle to get somebody who will journey with you. Remember when we talk of synod and synodality, we are talking of walking together, journeying together. Now, if I do not see hope in this story of synod and synodality, where else will I get that hope? Thank you.
Thank you. To my next two panelists, just pass the mic next. And I just want to see whether you agree with Joseph Oburu there on the question of working with the youth, and especially the issue of where does the responsibility lie? Is it with the church? Is it with the parents? Is it with society in general?
Thank you so much. My name is James Kasonde, representing the male parent. I'm coming from Mpika Diocese of Zambia. I think the issues raised regarding the challenges being faced by the youth are actually real, and it's something that we need to address. And I think as parents and families, we've not done enough, and we need to do more. We need to actually promote positive parenting, where we need to build strong parent-to-child relationships right from the early age. because once we inculcate good values in the children, they will actually become better youths and better citizens in the future. We need to develop values like integrity, good stewardship on resources, so that we can address the various challenges and the gaps that are being faced by the youth. Because we believe the family is a domestic church, and the family is actually a basic unit of governance. So we have a responsibility and a mandate as parents to actually bridge the gaps, to actually address the challenges. And my encouragement to fellow parents is that we need to engage the youths in whatever we are doing, be it in terms of businesses for the families. Let's make sure that we work with the youth from the early stage so that they understand the aspects of entrepreneurship and promote the family businesses. And this can in turn address the issues of unemployment, and can also in turn address the issues of anxiety and the fears of the unknown future, because once a youth, a child is developed with good values, then there will be a busy mind, and they will have something to do as they wait maybe for formal employment. I end here for now.
Yeah, thank you. Your opening remarks? Thank you.
Yes, I'm Georgette George. I'm from South Sudan, here representing Sudan and South Sudan Catholic Bishop, representing the youth from Sudan and South Sudan Catholic Bishops. Yes, as we have heard from our father here, that the responsibility of bringing up a youth, a rightful-minded youth, the responsibility starts from home, and then from the church. It integrates from home to church. If they find the right formation, the right spiritual formation in the church, then they would come up good. We'll find from them good priests. We'll find from them good governors, because they will go back to the society. They will be our governors. They will be our politicians. They will be our presidents. So we need to invest positively with all our resources that we have. We should invest it in our youth. We shouldn't hold back. We should give all that we have to our youth so that they will become what we want them to become, and they will also have the freedom to express and to be the innovative and the creative youth and energetic youth that they are. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Georgette. And in their presentation earlier on to the conference of the excellencies and the eminences, they pointed out a number of issues, including exclusion and limited empowerment, including on very basic areas, including the digital space. We'll come to those specifics, but I want us to address the crisis question raised by Tony Blair. Tony Blair spoke about an identity crisis. If we can just, the entire panel here, concentrate for a few moments on this question of identity crisis. First, and I want to give you back to Tony Blair to first define that crisis for us. What is that identity crisis that you, as the youth, are facing today?
Yes, thank you so much for this question. Identity crisis, our identity as the Catholic youth. Where are we as the Catholic youth? If you observe keenly today, you find that the youth in the Catholic Church are moving away from the Catholic Church. Why? It is because they're not being listened to. They come. You see, when you talk of synodality, it begins with listening without judgment. Listen to the young person. You see, even in the courts of law, they say, before you judge the person, hear from the person. Therefore, the identity of the Catholic Church in the aspect of the youth, it is very key. We are losing our youth to other religious denominations. If you go to other religious denominations, sorry to say this, you'll find that the majority are the Catholic youth. Why? It's because there is something that is attracting them there that maybe they're failing to find in the Catholic Church. Yet the church is rich. When we go to Mass, Mass is the most important part of prayer, and is the most important thing in our life. In Mass, we learn a lot. Therefore, the youth are running away from the sacrament. We raise the issue of marriage. Those are cultural practices. When you look at the high bride price, because from the youth, you asked the question, which I wanted really to talk of, but you asked the question of, you asked Mama here the question of the age of the youth. We have from 0 to 12, we believe you have to be in the missionary holy childhood. Then from there, you elevate to the sect. Because we talk of the youth. The other time when we were interacting, we talked of the youth. Then we talked of the young youth. Then we talked of when now you reach 35 years, you are now becoming our animator. That's why the church is very keen. They don't want to lose the youth who have been leaders from 35 years to be animators so that they continue guiding this other youth. But the identity of the church, most of the youth, this is now to the youth, most of our youth are afraid to identify themselves as a Catholic youth. And I always keep on telling the youth, wherever I meet them, that it is only a confused Catholic that can be allowed to be confused by a non-Catholic. But if you are well-informed Catholic, you shall never be confused by a non-Catholic.
Let's go to Oburu, because you had also spoken about the identity. And I want the youth to define this crisis. Is it really limited to just the youth in the Catholic Church, or is this a universal youth problem, that there is a general identity crisis among the youth, regardless the denomination?
Thank you, Linus. It is true, number one. There is a serious issue on identity crisis. I would like maybe the audience to reflect on the presentation yesterday by Dr. Stephen Mbugua and the presentation by Professor Selvam on the issues that affect young people. And in most of those issues, you'd realize, I was telling our young people when we were at the pre-plenary, that there is a serious something that is coming up with this generation that is very, very unique to them. Number one, they get things at real time. Things don't slow down. Back, most of you, when maybe you were growing up, before you got news from the Vatican, it will take probably a year or two before it got to your specific space. Am I right or wrong? But here today, if the Pope, for me, I watched the entire tour of when Pope Leo XIV was going round. I was watching everything live. But now you also put the same reality when we see the wars in South Sudan, when we see the wars that took place in Jerusalem, in Israel, when we see the wars, the things that are happening, when we see what the global picture is, this information is coming too fast to the young people. But we are not reacting with the same speed. I want us to remember that. Now it goes back to the issue of accompaniment. That's why I was saying, for me, it is not just a Catholic issue for the youth in the Catholic Church. It is a serious global issue with the young people. The identity crisis now comes in. I do not know. I do not understand. Where should I go? I loved during our presentations at the pre-plenary, we had this very nice, beautiful exercise where we asked the young people to paint a picture of who a young person is. To my shock, I think by good luck, I was the one moderating the session, so I didn't participate in anything. I happened to observe what was happening. And I noticed in all the groups, the one thing that they could define clearly was youths are people who are at crossroads. They do not know the direction that I should take. You do not know what the future holds. You're seeing the dark side here today, and you're seeing an option of what it could look like. You don't know how it will be, but what it could look like if you took a certain direction. So now you are torn. What if this happens to block my path? Remember, for example, like now for myself, I graduated the other day in Kenyatta University in a Bachelor's of Architectural Studies. If I was going to the field today, I honestly don't know if I'll get an employment, number one. I don't know if my family will be secured after what I'm seeing today within the political experience. So the only thing I'm relying on is hope. But through that journey needs somebody to be there to remind you that if I take these steps. So for me, Linus, I still stand by. It is a global problem.
And who is that somebody? You're saying you need somebody. Who is somebody?
Now that somebody is, in our case, within the Catholic Church, we talk of animators and collaborators, mentors. We are talking of people who are willing to journey with you. I know it is not everyone, but somebody has to be there. But now what we were asking is, in our specific case, could we have people who are well trained to understand young people, to come and interact with them in their space?
Yeah, thank you, Joseph. And I want to bring in now Your Excellency, the Right Reverend Alfred Chayama, Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Zomba. You've heard a lot and we've heard a lot from Joseph. He's very concerned. Remember earlier on he said, even the church is too busy for the youth. The priests are too busy for the youth. And the bishop is, yes. So go ahead and respond to that.
Thank you so much. The conversation is becoming quite entertaining. I want to agree with him, first of all, yes, that bishops are very, very busy. Or we can even add another very, 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 very busy. But on a serious note, it is true that we are having the issues now clearer in our conversation. They're coming up to the same issue that the youth have raised through their communique, and our chairperson responded to it. We need to do something. That's the issue. We need to do something. And in this regard, we are gathered here as a church in this region. I'm happy that the parents see the role that they're supposed to be playing in response to where we find ourselves in or at. Without preempting what at conference level in Malawi have been discussing, the interest that we should also have as a church to accompany families, family apostolate. Because if you are talking about parents who need to be playing their role, it means we ourselves also as a church must design programs where we accompany families. Already young families, as they take each other and they come to ask for the sacrament of matrimony, we need not leave them to begin to walk by themselves. So if we have a strong family apostolate ministry in the church, it means part of what we'll be reminding the parents is the role they should be playing on the gift they receive, the gift of life, and these are the children that they beget in those families. Secondly, as one of them has also reminded us, if we listen to the presentations that were made by our able facilitators yesterday, we see that at times we are caught up in a trap where we don't particularly define who our youth is in the church. But we were given and reminded, first of all, in terms of biological development, we should be thinking about the segments in ages. Is a young person someone who is over 15 or over 12 up to 35? And then if we have programs, for example, that we develop for that young person, then we just consider that person as a young person So what will be consumed by somebody at the age of 15 is also given to somebody who is at 30. So this is where we have an issue. We were reminded yesterday in the presentations, and I think one of us has reminded us of that too, that the church needs to pay attention to that. But what has also been brought out by the youth themselves in their presentation and those that are on the panel here is the digital space and how it influences them, and how, as a church, we should begin to respond. I'm not saying we're not responding, but with speed. Yes, the church has its own way of handling matters. It doesn't just have an issue today and then tomorrow you already have a response to it. But Pope Leo XIV is setting the pace also. Look at the recent encyclical that he has written on AI and how that is affecting the human dignity, and how a human being in his dignity, on her dignity, has to still feel safe with this innovation. We must also localize that. Beautiful that our leader is setting the pace. I am sure as leaders we are challenged, we have to go through the content of what he has written so that we can localize the content and begin to respond the way the universal church expects us to. So in my response to, I just want to summarize what I wanted to mention here. I think if we have to look at the ministry to the youth, let it not just remain at the traditional way of how the youth have been handled by the church. We must always be innovative, responding to the needs at the appropriate times. The issue of appointing and providing chaplains to the youth is not an option, but again, chaplains that are prepared for the role. I remember in 2014, that was the paper that I was asked to present to the bishops. Then I was not a bishop, I was only a facilitator. But I remember that this is what Amecea tasked me to do, that chaplaincy needs to be strengthened in the church. And we're not just talking about a letter of appointment, but a chaplain who is prepared for the job and knows what he should be doing. So this is what I may contribute at the moment, listening to the issues as they come out of the young people and from the parents. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bishop. Let's go to Father Henry. And Father Henry, I'm very sure in your parish, you deal with the youth. And just from what Tony Blair and Joseph are saying, there is an identity crisis. Do you agree that there is an identity crisis? And how does it manifest itself in the parish where you are?
Definitely, I would agree with the sentiment of Joseph and Blair. We have identity crisis among our young people. But before I proceed, let me apologize on behalf of my brother priests. In the event that you feel we are too busy, indeed we are, but also we make a plea to you that you join us, because the ratio of a priest to young people or to the Christians is not as it should be. That notwithstanding, the fact that we are here in this August plenary is already a goodwill from the church, that the church is interested in intervening into the situations of young people. This is a sign of goodwill. And obviously, this is a work in progress. So back to your question, Linus, yes, I work at Don Bosco Catholic Church, Upper Hill, and we have a very vibrant youth group. And we see every day the need of young people needing to be involved in decision-making. In fact, for the last 2 years during our family day, we have allowed them to champion everything, to plan the parish family day from the start to the end. As a way of, again, a goodwill and acknowledging that, yes, indeed, we see we need to listen to you, we need to put you into the process of making decisions that actually touch your lives, and you are not alone. So it is a work in progress, and we should not give up. But at the same time, the young people should not get tired of, raising their voices and wanting to be part of this church. Because the truth also is, when we talk about the church is not the clergy, the bishops, the cardinals, the pope up there. The church is all of us. And I'm happy we have also representation from the parent. Many times we are told that family is the domestic church. So the church, again, begins at home. The church should be reflected again, even in the society, in the schools, in the colleges, so that then it is the movement of every person journeying together in this spirit of listening to the young people and giving them chance. But indeed, yes, the young people are at the crossroad and needing guidance. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Henry. And back to Madame Evelyn, who is here on behalf of parents. And that whole identity crisis question, I'm sure, falls also straight on the laps of parents. Where is the responsibility of the parent in addressing that identity crisis that we've all admitted exists today in the body of the youth?
Thank you. I can't agree enough, or I can't agree more that yet, yes, there is that identity crisis among our youth. And as the previous speakers have said, joining forth with the church is all of us, the parents, the clergy, and of course the youth, our youth. I do want to encourage the parents to prioritize relationship over perfection. They did mention that sometimes their ideas, their voices are dismissed. The listening. Of course, they talk about accompaniment, which we have talked about before. So if parents are there to even notice the changes that are happening, they talk about us not being in the digital space. Yes, the priests are busy, the bishop are very busy, and if the parents are also very busy, then no one is there. So we cannot even see or notice what's going on with our youth, and of course, with our young children as well. And so the gap that had been spoken even before from the small childhood society getting to the youth, there is a big gap in between where once they get communion or, from that space when they go to school, we assume the responsibility go to the teachers or those who spend most of their time with the children. But again, are they also prepared or trained to be taking charge of that? And so I think for me, it's a call for all of us to come together, partner to forge a solution or to have an innovative solution on how we can journey with our youth. From the family apostolate, as the bishop had earlier said, that early marriage or young couples are not formed, or we spend very short time to prepare them to become parents. And immediately we see conflicts because there's no one to accompany them or support them. As parents, we also sometimes do not role model what we want to see in our children. Am I a responsible citizen or responsible Christian? What are the kids or my children wish or seeing in my life? Or what are they seeing on my everyday life? How am I involving them? Do they see my hustle as a parent in the family? Do they see or do they have a knowledge of where the parents get their bread or the school fees or whatever that is spent at home? So I think their involvement is crucial so that they can also learn and also embrace what the parents are going through and appreciate being a responsible youth. So the relationship over perfection, but also for the youth. And of course, I'm urging the professionals. We do have Christian professionals who can be mentors and can also journey with the youth. Like those who are, Billy said, he just graduated and then he go for seeking for a job tomorrow, the first question is, what's your experience? What can you do? But we can offer mentorship. We can offer internship. We have Catholic schools. We have Catholic hospitals and other institutions. But as parents and, of course, my colleagues who are professionals to work with the youth.
And I hear you, Evelyn, talking about the two-way relationship, that there is the giver when it comes to mentorship and guidance, but then there is the receiver, who is the youth, who must then give their bit. And in their report today, one of the concerns they raised was that of being talked down at. It was big. They really spoke about that, and that their role has been reduced to just implementing decisions given elsewhere. And I want us to go to Tony Blair again to just unpack that for us. What is central in that concern when you, as the youth, talk about the culture, or is it a practice of being talked down at?
Yes, thank you for the question. The culture of the one that you had in the report saying that we are only used in the implementation stage of a decision. That came in so much from the young people, because during the pre-plenary, the young people were given time. They told them, just imagine if you are told to write a letter to your bishop, that you're going to meet the bishops. Imagine if you are told to write a letter to your bishop. What would you write? And they were given a chance to write this letter to their bishops. You really see that the ideas that were gathered in that letter, they wrote letter to their bishops. What we referred to as love letters, that let us write love letters to our bishops. But you really see them bringing it clearly that yes, when we have the youth structures, yes, but the youth are crying that in the youth structures we organize youth events. They're not involved in the starting stage. Yet synodality is saying we are moving together. They're only involved in the implementation stage. And when it comes to aspect of accountability, maybe we sit together and we come up with we sit together. We are now revising. That is, we are revising what has happened, for lack of a better word. We are revising what has happened, the whole process. Then you find that the youth again not brought in the time for evaluation of what happened. Therefore, that's why there was also another issue of accountability. The accountability. Yes, it was a youth event, but where are we? Are we brought in that stage? Or we are just allowing the animators to sit together with the responsible persons, make decisions, make planning, and then say, okay, let us now involve the youth. You see, Pope Francis was very clear in that document of Christus Vivit, that the youth are the now of the church. He was very reluctant in using the word, the future of the church. He used the word, the now of the church, which is very true. The youth, we are the now. When you look at the majority, the population, yesterday we have been given a statistic of the population of the youth in the region, in this region of the Amecea, where we saw that the population are the youth. And we always have a saying that when you want to do something and you want it to be implemented fast, use the youth. That's why we see the political field, they're using the youth to work on their ideas that they come up with. To work on their ideas. And that's why when they brought the aspect of Christus Vivid, when that message of the Pope came to the different conferences, and when it reached our different youth offices, we sold it very fast and disseminated it to all the parishes. If you go right now to any, I must say this, if you go right to any conference and you talk about Christus Vivid, the youth are already aware that this is Christ is alive. It was a message that ran for long. Therefore, that is how we are, as the youth, we are so influential that we become the now of the church. Thank you.
Now, I'm still on this question of communication between the youth and those who are older than them. And Joseph, you are very, very effective in giving us the difference in timelines and how things have changed. And we're talking about this concern about being talked down at. And I'm just looking at the age of their excellencies and eminences present. And I can tell you quietly here that they were talked down at as children and youth because every instruction came in a particular way. Is this something that you think is not working in how communication between society and the youth, church and the youth, is executed to the point that it raises this concern that some of that communication is being seen as talking down at?
Thank you again, Linus. I think, in my understanding, maybe I get a little bit clearer. We were not talking about being talked down at. We were talking about the methodology, the philosophy behind the approach of the communication. So when I want to view it in that aspect, what you are saying, the philosophy and methodology of how we relate with each other. So you realize what happens in most cases is we are asked, what do young people want? Then we share our experiences and what we would like to hear. Then the information cascades. So when it gets to the level of maybe the top decision makers, we are not there. So we don't directly have that access to consult and talk and share. So now the back and forth that happens that is where the young people now feel it's not a collaborative model, but rather a top-down, because sometimes when the information gets and comes back to us, maybe as leaders, it comes back as, this is what the bishop said. This is what the parish priest has said. So your program may not be able to work because of 1, 2, 3. Then we are asking, whoever presented or whoever we sent to, was there a young person in that space who could actually inform them of what the young people actually feel? Because probably I realize that there has been a serious challenge when we are trying to plan programs, and that is what the youth leaders were saying. When we are trying to, here I'm speaking also on behalf of the other leaders who we worked together with in the pre-plenary. And one of the things that came out was, when we plan programs and present, hardly do the young people get time to actually go and interact with our bishops. Down there, the parish, the issue again comes up, the issue of they are not present with us most of the time. So I can give a case of example. In our report, it indicates that quite a number of our dioceses, some of the youth leaders have never even had an opportunity to have a conversation or dialogue with the bishops. However, programs are still being planned. So what happens is they will come back and will be asked, please help us implement. Please help us push this. Please help us work on this. And then you realize, but this is supposed to be consultative, not consultative, but rather a collaborative model where we come together in the issue of synod, we talk together, and we push it together. So it's not something that you go and do it there, then we will come. It is where, if we are planning it, can we go through? And I just want to reflect on one case I saw that really I felt touched, was when we were planning for the mass, the opening mass. I love the fact that Archbishop Muheria was there with the entire period. We, the young people, he came, he saw us, we came here to the ground, we visited him. We have had that experience, but it doesn't happen often. It happens in some cases, in other cases it does not happen. So, thank you.
Yeah. So you're talking inclusion, and yes, pass the mic to Zonde, who can just quickly respond, and I'll give this to a number of the panelists to quickly respond, that it's not about talking down, It's about inclusion. Include them from the beginning, not at the end of a decision. Do you agree with him?
Thank you so much. I think what we need to do is to reinforce the existing structures. In the setup of the church, there are structures even at diocesan levels, like pastoral councils, where the youth delegates are invited so that we promote the aspect of decision making. But on the other hand, I think we need to encourage participatory contributions from the youths. I can refer to like the suggestion they gave regarding empowerment. I think it's one thing that the church needs to look at, including Amecea, where things like submissions like a revolving fund can be put in place. It's a submission from the youth, so that what they have submitted is actually considered, and then we just attach like who are the sureties. Maybe the bishops in the respective dioceses becomes the surety. Then the bishop also tasks the chaplain for the youth to be the surety, so that empowerment is there, and then the submissions from the youth, decision making is covered accordingly. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Georgette.
Yes, I wanted to add on what Bill have said about our statement. When we presented it, it was not about us being talked down or looked down, but it comes from the African culture. It's in every setting, in every African setting, that the young ones, actually they are not the decision makers, but the implementers. The elders will come and sit. They will talk on the matters that is happening in wherever place they are. They make the decisions. Then the decision is being applied or being put to practice by us, by the young people. That's what some part of what we have communicated. So here we are asking that we should be called. Let us at least forget about the old cultures that as the youth are only implementers but not decision makers. Rather than let them call us and let us sit together, we shall think of how to go about things, our challenges, the problems, and the improvements that we want to see in our places, together with the young people. That is what it communicates from our communique.
Yeah, thank you. Let's go to Bishop Chaima. Your very quick response to this whole issue of exclusion in decision making. And is there an opportunity, in your view, to blend the different value systems? There's the cultural side of things that does and approaches decision making in a certain way. And then there's the church, then there is the government, there is society in general. Is there an opportunity for a good blend of all this to the positive good of the youth?
Yes, there is. I think this is part of what we are doing here, trying to improve on our pastoral approach to the youth in the region. And before they came up with their own identity in their communique, you heard the opportunities they were given so that it is thoroughly consultative. There is room to improve. And what we'll be waiting for example, after this plenary will be, they have made and submitted recommendations. We will expect that there will be resolutions that will be speaking to the recommendations that they have made and submitted. And we will expect implementation at various levels, at Amecea level, as a region, at the conference level, and they will have to trickle down to the dioceses because they are speaking to bishops here. And then the bishops are overseers in their own dioceses to see that those recommendations that eventually have become resolutions are implemented on the ground. This is what I see. So what we're doing here is not something outside the box. It's part of the mission of the church to always see how we can improve on our pastoral approach on issues that affect our ministry in the church. So yes, there is room to blend all these suggestions. And by the way, it's not something that is coming out like odd one out, but it's something that has also existed. We talk of inculturation, and in inculturation, what we do is we are faced with our cultures, and we see values that we can embrace because they don't contradict the gospel values, so we embrace them. But where we have values that we see that they are in contradiction with our gospel values, then we drop them. So in this case, we are now brought to the challenge and attention of one cultural value that needs to be looked into, and if indeed it does not help us, the way we are bringing issues here, it's not something that we can promote in the church. There is no gospel value that says a young person should never give his or her suggestion. Actually, Jesus invited the young ones, let the young ones come to me, let children come to me. So in this case, I don't think that we will be in difficulties in trying to, first of all, understand what they are making as a submission here, and secondly, addressing it positively. I see that there is plenty of room to accommodate that in our pastoral approach in mission. I think that's my response at the moment. Thank you.
Yes, and we are running quite short of time, and I want us to spend the last few minutes to talk about the personal challenges raised by the youth this morning in their report, in their summary of their deliberations given to the bishops. And one of the issues they raised was unemployment. Anxiety was the other. And I want us to start with Father Henry, because there's a question from a parishioner in Don Bosco Parish who says, many youths in Kenya today face severe unemployment, a rising cost of living, economic pressure. How can the church practically support young people in navigating these financial hardships without succumbing to societal pressures like corruption, quick money schemes, or compromising their Christian and religious values? Father Henry, you can go first.
Thank you for that question. There are a couple of things or interventions that the church could make. One, and of course it has done that and it continues to do, is advocacy. Trying to propose ways in which we can have good governance that is inclusive and that centers its policies around the young people. So advocacy is number one. Number two, and again borrowing from our young people on the panel, the church has to be a fallback place. There are two ways of looking at it. One, we need to inspire hope. We need to take care of young people who are in that space of frustrations. So the church needs to be a mother that nourishes them and inspires hope and heals them. Number two, we could take also advantage of networking within the church. And in this case, the church ought to partner with other stakeholders, agencies, other groups to create meaningful networks that provide for job opportunities to the young people. I would like to be quite specific on this. For example, in the parishes, we could have platforms where we have youth career mentorships. We could have networkings where parishioners or Christians who are professionals or in whatever areas of professional skills are in a position to link the young people in getting jobs, of course, in the right way, but also creating a database where we, for example, know the kind of profession and the qualifications our young people have in specific parishes, and ways in which we could place them for jobs in different places. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I want to go to the Zonde. Yourself now.
Thank you so much. I think we need to promote the aspect of skills development and proper mentorship. Also encourage the aspect of coming up with strategic plans. We set a vision, ambitious plans, and encourage businesses. And probably in terms of empowerment, as a church, as I earlier on said, we need to come up with a revolving fund which can be given to the youth in terms of loans. And the assurance is through the respective bishops. If the youth fail to pay, then that particular bishop definitely can look for resources. I know the bishops will also give a task to the youth chaplains. The whole idea is to encompass a spirit of accountability, sense of ownership and responsibility, so that the youth actually are reserves and they can actually come up with very progressive and profitable projects. I submit.
Yeah, let's thank you. Then let's go to the parents' representative, Madam Evelyn. Your take on this whole question of compromising, the possibility of compromising Christian and religious values because of pressure, economic, unemployment, depression, and the likes.
Thank you. I truly agree that unemployment is not only an economic crisis, but it also affects their dignity, their self-worthy, family formation, and also faith. And so it's an area we need to look back into. Vocational skills or vocational training centers. We have a number of graduates from the university, but there's no employment. But if we could invest into vocational schools or vocational training centers, I know many of them, in many cases, in some places, have been transformed into secondary school and other institutions. But if we can provide them with skills that help them to do entrepreneurial work, not necessarily waiting for a formal employment in a company or somewhere else, would be useful for them to journey through before they go crazy and start stealing. But also, I think as part of formation from the childhood, of course, to the adulthood, we spoke about responsible use of resources as well. Graduate from university looking for iPhone 17 Pro Max, he could have spent that money to start a small job or small project that would be giving him or her something to earn the living. So the responsible use of resources, the little that we have, it's also something that is lacking in many cases. So I think skill training is critical from the young age through to the college. I submit.
Yeah. Thank you, Evelyn. And now to the three representatives of the youth who are in this panel. One of the issues that has been raised by Evelyn here is, she says, yes, unemployment is a big problem, but so is irresponsible use of resources. Joseph.
Yes, thank you again. She's right. We also, as young people, we also believe that we can be accountable. We need to learn to be accountable of our actions, how we engage, how we think, how the decisions we make. Again, for you to become an adult, you also have to learn to take responsibility of the various actions that you take. I would also maybe like to add on the issue of where we think we can bridge the gap with the church and the community at large, the society at large. I think one of the areas is we may not have all the answers today, but we could create spaces for such, like you see what has happened here. I remember back when we were in Kurasini, I think it was early this year, we went with the pastoral and lay apostolate team, and it was by humbling chance that I was part of the team that was there. And I remember one of the things we insisted on is, can we create these same conversation spaces so that young people at least can have that space to be listened to? Then we can be able to identify more realistic issues now down there, contextualized, let alone here. Here you have only me as Joseph Bill. Probably have represented the ideas that I have heard from, but they don't. We need to carry this same conversation down there. And I feel like the church is capable of investing in youth resource empowerment centers. This is not something that is new. It has been there. I've seen quite a lot that has already been done, but I still feel there is more that can be done in giving young people a space. And I liked what Father Selvam yesterday mentioned, that the youth are people who, it will be ideal to have peer evangelization. And peer evangelization is where you intensify on training, whether it is the young people, the leaders, the youth leaders, or those who are specifically directly involved with the young people, then have them go out and continue doing that and carry that on towards the parish, towards the parishes. At one day, I dream that one day we'll be able to get there, that we have all parishes, at least within the Amecea region, have young people who have been trained and who have been empowered to go back again and empower other young people. That would be a very ideal situation for me. Thank you.
Right, I'll quickly sneak an area we've not touched on, but in the interest of time, we have run out of time, and I'll only give this opportunity to Georgette, Tony Blair, and our bishop will close on that topic, and that is the issue of mental wellness. It was raised in the report. You talk about anxiety and depression. The question is, how do we address it? And I want to hear from the youth side. First of all, Georgette and Tony Blair before we go to the bishop. Georgette? Yes.
Mental health issues mostly starts from unemployment. At the state of the youth who have already graduated and who could not find job, and they feel like they are hopeless, they are youthless, they cannot do anything, they don't have any other options. So that's where the mental health issues starts. That's at the stage of being a graduate. In some other level, maybe at a younger age, they get sometimes like the young ones who have, let me use this term, sorry, like they have a weak character. They can be bullied at schools. They will be tortured at schools like throughout the day, and there is no follow-ups from the parents, there's no follow-ups from the guidance, even at the church. They would not look at that young girl or young boy being that he's been stressed or she's been stressed throughout the day. So that also could be another cause of these mental illnesses. And to add to mental problems or personal challenges, even it goes to drug abuse, not only mental illnesses, but also drug abuse. So they tend to drugs as a solution. They think that it would be a solution for them, but it's not. It's an opening, like they're opening another gate for another complication. So to navigate through that, we should, as young people, also work together and look to our fellow young ones. Like, let us see who is actually having challenges, who are we leaving behind. So whoever we're leaving behind, we should also try to accompany them. We should bring them together so that we can journey together. And to our parents, let them look at us at home. Let us see our behaviors. Let them study our communications with our siblings, with our neighbors, with our community. How do we perform? If they see there is shortcoming, there are shortcomings that is happening from us, let them bring us down. We sit, we talk. As Mama said, that there should be a friendship, there should be a relationship between the parents and the youth. And coming to the church, it has a very big role to play in our mental stability. With the spiritual formation, the programs, the spiritual programs that happens in the church, let the church invest and pay a keen observation on the programs that our youth are doing, and let them encourage the youth to continue to bring up more programs that is fit for them, fit for their generations, and on the ways that they can deliver or they can communicate with each other as young ones. I stop here.
Yeah, thank you, Georgette. And we are talking mental wellness, Tony Blair. And Georgette spoke about bullying, and she might as well have added online bullying and also digital addiction. There are problems, aren't they?
Thank you. I think when we talk of bullying, be it on a digital space or on a physical space, when we talk of bullying, it creates mental illness to the young person, because first of all, they feel they're not included in a particular group, because it is a group of young people who bully the others. So they feel they're not included in that space. And I think that the way forward here, we can look at creating intentional dialogue where we can have the bully and the one being bullied come together, and they are educated on this aspect. Because first of all, we look at the aspect of our prayer life. It is one who fears God, who looks at that what I'm doing, is it godful? Is it in the way that the Lord likes? Or is it the Christian way of living? That is one way we overcome the aspect of mental illness. Mental illness causes the reason why we have a lot of suicide in schools. You hear someone has committed suicide. It is because of the parent-to-child talk, the laxity between a parent to child talk. Most times now we have our parents, yes, they're busy, they're supporting us, looking for ways of supporting us in school. But when we come home, the parent leaves early, comes back late, before the child is up from bed. There is not that time that the child has with the parent to discuss matters that is arriving. Even the child may be saying that, I need to discuss something with you. Then the mother, maybe the father says, let me come back. Comes back when the child is already to bed. Wakes up again very early in the morning. So there is aspect of parental-child relationship that really needs to work. Because here we have to work together. Hear from me, advise me, and also orientation of the young people. Forming different groups, the church movements and associations, where the young person has that space to discuss their matters amongst themselves. Then they come up with possible solutions that can help this person who is suffering mentally, that can help them to feel that, yes, we are with you. I am not out of the community.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tony Blair. And our last contributor for this panel discussion will be Bishop Chaima. And Bishop, as you make your final comments, please respond not just to the whole question of mental wellness and what the church can do, but also on how the apparent clash between faith, Christian faith that is, and a very strong force of secular culture contributes to the kind of problems that we are talking about today, including mental problems. Bishop Chaima.
Thank you. First of all, I wanted to assure the youth that the church now prioritizes mental wellness as one of the pastoral issues it should be involved in. That you should be assured. There were times where it appeared to be a social problem that has to do with some type of counseling that whoever is involved, even beyond youth, should get elsewhere. There were times, at least, maybe that was somehow the picture the church had. But let me tell you and assure you, on behalf of my brother bishops here, that pastorally we have seen how much this affects our youth, both within the church and outside the church. And wherever we see that there is something that is taking away the dignity of a human being, we come in. But from the pastoral aspect of approach. So it is our issue. It is not your issue only as youth. Be assured of this. And we agree with you that we must look at various aspects, factors, both in the church and outside the church, where probably you are not receiving enough support. So you have pointed out something that we already began to look at, the issue of the family setup and how much support you should be receiving from the parents and those in the family. Mama here has emphasized the issue of the relation of child-parent, that it should be emphasized beyond perfection. I think this is where therapy will begin from. But then secondly, on the part of now the church structures, yes, I'm not removing the family as part of the church structure. We ourselves in the church too, because of the strong chaplaincy that you are proposing here, and that we all agree with, these are issues that we should be looking at and not avoid. We should be closer to you, see what you're going through socially, economically, politically, and see how much we can accompany you. So indeed, this is a pastoral issue, and since you already have seen it to be a challenge, we can assure you you are not alone. And it's not a matter of just responding to you verbally here, but it's something that we should take as part of our pastoral programs in trying to make sure that you are safe and you are growing up in a safe space. Now, coming to the larger question that has come up to say, how do we address this situation where values that are coming from the secular world and Christian values, how should we look at the mission of the church to be today? My answer would be that it all revolves at what the young people have brought about here, that they see, and this is why they are open with us. They see that their lives without Christ, if they have no Christ in the way they lead their life, then they have no future and they will get nowhere. And we agree with them as their leaders. In this sense, what should be central in our plans as a church would be that at all times we should emphasize catechesis. For everyone to have Christ in his or her life, then he must be formed properly. Because when you form somebody, what you are doing is you are forming a character, a personality that individual will never lose, within or outside the church. And if you see what the missionaries struggled to do when they first brought the message of the church or Christian message, it was to form the character of an individual. So wherever we have our institutions, including our parish setup, catechesis should be at the center of our pastoral ministry. And here we are talking about now catechesis to our young people. Our young people should meet, encounter, experience the love of God, experience the love of Christ, and we can only do that not only by forming their intelligence in class where we have provided primary school, secondary school, or tertiary level, and we leave out the aspect of our young people encountering Christ and seeing that they are safe with Jesus Christ and no another value. Because then they will be able to reject anything that contradicts what they hold to be a value in them. So what I think we should be doing and planning, and perhaps this is where our resolutions will also be attentive to, is our youth have given us where they are today and what they are facing. What is it that we can do to respond so that they indeed become rooted Christians and Catholics, whereby whenever they face anything, whether within the church or outside the church is closer to them, and then they are also safe, even where things are that they meet of innovation, they're new, including things that they meet digitally. So this is what I think is key to what we are discussing, not only in this panel discussion, but our conversation that we are encouraging between ourselves as the leaders and then the youth themselves on matters that involve them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bishop Chima. And of course, this conversation extends to our eminent audience of eminences and excellencies. And we have not had an opportunity to engage the audience with questions. But I just want to give an opportunity to one Archbishop. I don't know whether Archbishop Moheria, if you can be given a microphone right there. And the question to you as we bring this conversation to a close is coming straight from the recommendations of the youth. And one of the things I heard them raise is absence of genuine youth engagement. And the word they underlined there is genuine. And from my understanding of what they were saying, they feel youth are involved almost as a token. It's tokenism, just tick the box that they were engaged. How do we move this conversation we've had here to genuineness that the youth are seeking at Bishop Moheria? Because we are on camera, may you please stand up? Thank you. Let's pass one of the microphones, the handheld, to him. So very briefly, the question of authenticity of these youth engagements.
Yeah, thank you very much, Linus. Sorry, this was an ambush, but we accept it. First, in Kenya, our conference has started a youth commission specifically dedicated to them. They mentioned that we were together with Bishop Juma and Bishop Kimani in the extravaganza. I think the idea is we must get close to the young people, waste time with them, and risk, because being with them is always a risk. They will do things to you you don't want them to do. But that's how you get to their heart. If we are not willing to risk, to be pushed, to get selfies, to try they even would touch our skull cap, we must come down a little lower so that in engaging them, we are able to hear their problems. But also we must be bold and courageous and challenge them. If they see that we are in the same wavelength, they will listen to us. And I think I want to commend our bishops who are in charge of the Youth Commission, because they are really pushing this agenda. Where do we meet? Where can we be with the young people? So I think the challenge, Linus, is for us to lose the fear of getting close to them. I think it's not that we are too busy, it's that we are a bit cautious. These guys can be dangerous. If we lose that attitude, and we find them as friends, then we are ready to risk with them. And I think authenticity will come through. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Archbishop Moheria. And to bring this conversation to a close, I would now like to invite the Right Reverend Charles Sampa Kasonde, who is the chairman of Amecea and bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Solwezi in Zambia, to formally close our session. And to our viewers following at home, we thank you for joining us. The statement from Bishop Kasonde will finish and bring the conversation around the youth question to a close here on Citizen TV.
Thank you very much, Linus. May I take this opportunity once again on behalf of the bishops of Amecea to say that we are grateful for this opportunity, for you as the moderator and the panelists involving the bishop, the priests, the parents, and our dear youth and our children. Indeed, this is the family. And on this journey of synodality, we are in communion. And we're ensuring that all the pockets and the facets of the family are attended to. And this is the more reason why we have given this opportunity to our young ones so that they express themselves. And indeed, what I can say on behalf of the bishops is that we have heard, we have listened, and indeed, when we come to the business session, we'll do something according to the recommendations and whatever we can do to better this relationship so that we enhance the formation of our young ones in the church, that they are accepted within the church and also in the family, going with a thrust into the society. So may God bless you all. And indeed, we have received your message and we have listened. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linus. Thank you very much, the panel. And thanks you to all of you who have been listening for the last 2 hours. I believe we all found it enriching and interesting. We would like to take this opportunity to offer our gratitude to the panelists by offering them a gift, a small gift that was prepared. And therefore, I ask Eminence Protas Rugambwa, Cardinal Rugambwa, to come forward and present this gift to our panelists. Again, a loud applause to all of them. Thank you so much, Cardinal Rugambwa, for your generous availability, but also to Linus. Linus, thank you so much for your availability, and we are very grateful to you on behalf who is representing Citizen TV. Thanks for your support.